This time on Alfie's Animal Tales, we're going to meet a flamingo named Flora, or Flo, as she prefers to be called. It's a lesson about everything being possible if you try your very best. So, let's see what happens in the tale of Flo, the Dancing Flamingo. There are all kinds of long-legged creatures. Some have 4 legs and others have 2. Some live in wide open spaces, and others they live in a zoo. On 4 legs there's really none taller than the towering and friendly giraffe, but on 2 legs there's one in particular that often makes everyone laugh. It's a bird that's unlike any other. Its legs are quite knobbly and thin. Its beak is quite large and quite bendy, and its neck is both curvy and slim. With a body quite big and quite bulky, you'd think they'd try not to stand out. With feathers quite plain and quite boring, not feathers that virtually shout. There's no trace of a muddy brown feather, or of black, as you'd probably think. And why go for dull and plain purple, when there's wonderfully brilliant bright pink? Yes, there's no bird quite like the flamingo. It's a definite one on its own. And though most have no wish to be famous, there's one who is really well known. The name she was given was Flora, but she didn't take to it, and so she told all her friends and her family that the name she preferred was plain Flo. From the day she was hatched, it was obvious that Flo was a dancer at heart. Her leaps and her jumps were both awesome, and her spins really set her apart. Now, knowing how much she loved dancing, as a treat for her 2nd birthday, her mum had spent all of her money on a trip to the local ballet. From the moment the curtain first parted, Flo was completely entranced by the sights and the lights and the music, and the way that the people they danced. All too soon the performance was over. Flo looked at her mum and said, "Wow!" Then she clapped and she cheered very loudly as the dancers stood taking a bow. The very next day, over breakfast, Flo told both her mum and her dad that she wanted to be a great dancer, though she knew that it sounded quite mad. She knew that it wouldn't be easy, so she practiced and practiced each day, and then, when she thought she was ready, she wrote to the Royal Ballet. "Dear Sirs," the letter it started, "I'm someone who so loves to dance. I know that I'm just the flamingo, but please, will you give me a chance?" At first, they all thought she was joking, but when they turned over the page, they found photos of Flo in her tutu, as she spun and she leapt across the stage. Now, auditions are sometimes quite scary, and poor Flo was a trembling wreck. She was quivering right from the bottom to the top of a long S-shaped neck. But as soon as the music was playing, her feet knew just what they should do. She danced with such grace and such passion, and a sprinkling of magic or two. And when the audition was over, everyone jumped to their feet, all knowing from what they'd just witnessed, a finer dancer they never would meet. And when she was making her debut, her mum and her dad were both there, remembering how it all started, as their daughter she flew through the air. Now Flo is just one good example of what any of us can all do. You really can do what you want to. What you do, well, that's up to you. I'm so pleased that Flo managed to achieve her dream of being a ballerina, and who knows, maybe you can achieve your dream if you follow Flo's lead and reach for the stars. Now, please don't forget that there are lots more videos to watch on the Alfie's Animal Tales YouTube channel. There's also a lot more to be found on Alfie's website at www.alfiesanimaltales.com. But sadly, it's time for me to go. So it's goodbye from me, and it's a big woof from Alfie. Goodbye.